Welcome back to TLR, the Ludicrous Report, episode 50. We did it. We're at 50. It's a huge celebration. 50 episodes of Issa and I. Always my favorite hour of the week. There is a lot of hours in the week, and this is my
Yeah,
favorite. Okay.
same.
But I'm glad to be back. TLR with my favorite co-host of all time, Issa. What's going on, Issa? How are you?
Not much. I'm still a little exhausted from the vacation. You know, when you take family vacations, they end up being
Yeah.
more exhausting. So, I don't know. I need to go on a real vacation, Joey. Like, I take trips for wrestling
Yeah.
trips, which are work. Then I go see family, which are just all over the place. I need a trip where I just lay somewhere for like 2 days.
I like to spoil myself, so I try to travel as much. Whenever I have a little opening, I'm like, I'm taking it. And I always realize, family or not, you need a vacation from the vacation.
Right.
It's always
Right.
the end result.
Yeah, but it
Um,
was, it was a fun trip. I got to see. I hadn't seen one of my nephews in over 2 years. I hadn't seen my sister in a year, so it was cool to catch up. But because it had been that long, we wanted to spend as much time as possible together. So there was very little sleep had.
of course, but you got to spend family time, and you were in Florida, so it's a double whammy. I'm happy for you.
Florida doesn't impress me that much. I live in Puerto Rico.
I know. You know what? Coming from New Jersey, and when I lived in Florida, I was like, I love this place. You know, you have
Yeah.
the Keys, you have Orlando, you have Captiva. There's so many places in Florida that are beautiful, and then you go to Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
or
I
you
will
go
tell you
on
one
the
thing
West
though.
Coast.
I don't know if you saw it in my story, but I did go to like a little kids. It was like the Peppa Pig amusement park for
Yeah.
Amari's birthday. My time limit for people with kids ran out real quick. I was like, look, I lasted 2 hours, you guys. I'm just gonna go sit in a shade. Let me know when everybody's done, and I'll be ready to go.
Well, I absolutely loved your TikTok. I don't know if you posted anywhere else, but I saw it on TikTok. You went around your family acknowledging Roman Reigns, and then your
Yeah.
one cousin. I know who
That's
he
my
is.
nephew. That's my
Yeah. Oh
nephew.
yeah, your nephew. Talking about John Cena, and it was just that was great.
My favorite was the baby. She learned how to acknowledge. I'm such
That's
a good
funny.
influence.
You are. You're showing your family greatness.
I got
Right?
I got to stay babysitting her for like a whole morning while they went and bought all the things for the party and all that.
Yeah.
And I play wrestle with her dolls, me and her, and I told her how to pin and 1, 2, 3 and all that. So we're getting her ready.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. But today we have some interesting topics, a lot of different topics around Hollywood, but kind of similar topics to what we've been talking about the last forever. I mean, these people that we are constantly talking about are somehow always, I don't know if they're getting themselves into drama or what, but they're always in our headlines. I
For
don't
some reason.
understand. They just like being featured on TLR. That's what I've come to the conclusion of.
Agreed.
Yeah. But let's start talking about Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny, not only is there a new album out, not only is he making headlines for his hairstyles or whatnot, breaking records with that new album, by the way.
Of course it is.
So
Were you
congrats,
surprised?
congrats to Bad Bunny. Congrats to you for
Thank you.
you,
Thank you.
you know you have great tastes in everything. You have great taste in fashion, music, wrestling. I mean, Issa, she's the one.
Joey, I love you. You're the best wing hype man bestie I could ever ask for.
But if you think about it, like your favorite wrestler, Roman Reigns, the greatest of all time, right?
Yep.
Your favorite artist
Bad Bunny, the
is
greatest of
the
all time.
of the world right now.
Yep.
So let's talk about what he's doing.
Oh,
There's you tell me what's going on, and then we can kind of talk about what's going on with
so
this
obviously
Al Pacino stuff.
the album released Friday the 13th, as we discussed last week with the head shave headline. This time he's making two headlines. The first headline is about the music video for his first song. It's called Monaco, and he's just casually having dinner with Al Pacino. I'm like, how gangster is that? Which is funny because
Yeah.
we're picking my sister up. By the way, I gotta say I did have the best listening experience because I was with my Puerto Rican family, so we're all listening right at midnight, like
Full
freaking
on listening party.
dissecting every song. But I remember listening to that song and thinking, oh my god, this beat is so mafia, final boss, gangster kind of beat
Yep.
to this song. And then when we finally got back, because we're picking up my sister at the airport at midnight. So we're listening to it on the way back, and then we sit down and like actually, we're able to kind of see everything. He always releases a music video with the album at midnight. So he releases the video, and there he is without freaking Pacino. I'm sorry, I don't care how old Al Pacino are. That's a flex. Like, Al Pacino is one of the coolest humans alive, and anybody that gets to sit on a table and have pasta with him, you
Yeah,
just enter a whole new level of greatness.
yeah, yeah. And Samantha added that he's hosting and performing Saturday Night Live this weekend, which is
It's huge.
just
They're actually gonna here Telemundo. They never show it, but they're actually gonna be airing SNL. This is a big deal. Now, Bad Bunny has had SNL. He performed in SNL. Remember, he was 24/7
yeah,
champion. He took the belt with him while he
yep,
performed, which was cool. He's such a nerd. Um, but he did a couple of skits. Like, he participated as an extra in a couple of skits in that SNL. But for him to be hosting and performing,
yeah.
it just feels like such a humongous deal. Another thing that's making headlines is one of his songs, which happens to be probably it might be my favorite song in the album. But he makes a line that if you translate it, he said everybody wonders, how we communicate, but we're better off not telling them. And I think he was just taking a jab at everybody saying, how does he talk to her? Which I never really understood that, because it's always been very clear that Bad Bunny speaks English. Like, we
Yeah.
all know it. He might be broken, he might have an accent, but I never not say, oh, Bad Bunny speaks no English. So I
Yeah.
never understood the whole how they communicate with each other, because yeah, he prefers Spanish. Let's be real. But
We've heard him speak
he
English.
he speaks English, perfect
Yeah.
English. So I'm like, why are people like thinking that they don't communicate? And in this song, he alludes that their communication is very physical, and I'm like, hey, that's a way to communicate.
By the way, I love the album cover. That is like it's like an art piece.
It is. And then the one thing that I really appreciate about Bad Bunny is every album feels different. None
Yeah.
of these albums sound the same, and
It
you can
doesn't look like
almost
anything
grow
he's had.
right, and you can
Yeah.
almost grow with him as an artist, and you can tell which stage of his career was. And I was telling that to my live stream last night, where it was like the last album, which he broke records with, Un Verano Sin Ti. That was a very lovey album. It was a summer in Puerto Rico album. You listen to that album, and it's like sitting in a beach in Puerto Rico. That's the vibe, very Caribbean
Yeah.
vibe. Where here, um, so I fell in love with that one first listen, right?
Yeah.
This one, that wasn't the case. The more I listen to it, the more it keeps growing on me, because this is a let me sit down and dissect the lyrics kind of
Got it.
album. You see, and there's a different. The beats
He went
are
deeper with this album.
right. So where Un Verano Sin Ti has that summer vibe, like let's dance and get up. So even if you're not listening to what he's saying, you want to dance and all that. This
Yeah.
one, like, I really started appreciating this one when I was able to sit down and read the lyrics and go like, oh, holy crap. Like, Bad Bunny does a lot of flexing in this album, which I appreciate, because he's always stay humble.
He's
But
earned it.
at some point you gotta say, like, leave me alone. Like, I'm the
Yeah.
best to ever do this. But he has a lot of features, young artists that some of us, like me, we might have heard. There's one that I heard of, but I wasn't really getting behind, and I actually ended up liking this song. But overall, this album is another masterpiece for Bad Bunny, completely different than the last one. I do feel like he blew up a lot last year with that album, so I do feel like if people found him through that,
Yeah.
they might have a little bit of a harder time with this one. But if you're an OG like me, where I found him in 2017 with the shave head and this kind of music, you're gonna love this album. And he says it very clearly. He said this album is not to make people happy. This is for my OG fans. So I appreciated it. Also, the billboards in Puerto Rico everywhere have Bad Bunny, so I love driving around right now.
You know what I appreciate about Bad Bunny? He is such a strategic artist, where if you look at the album cover, if you look at his fashion over the last few months, if you look at the music videos, he's with Kendall Jenner, who has a similar vibe and aesthetic to what he's presenting this current era. If you go back to when he actually went into WWE to start stuff with Damian Priest earlier this year, he came in, with the jeans, the cowboy hat, and people were like, "What the hell is he wearing?"
He's always
He was setting the stage for this album.
He's always thought ahead of time. And I think I shared that here last week, where I said when he showed up at the Royal Rumble with the dolphins on his shirt, those dolphins ended up being in the art of the album that followed up like a year later. And a backlash, he had the 13 in his shirt, which I tweeted immediately. I'm like, it means something. Everything that he does is predetermined. And he even tweeted the other day, like joking about, because he tweeted on the beginning of the year, I'm only going to tweet out 10 tweets this year. We were all like, oh my God, he only has one left. And then he tweeted and said, you guys really believe me about that? The 10 was a hint of
Yeah.
when the album was coming. And every time you would ask him about, hey, when is the new album? He said Nadie sabe, which means nobody knows,
Yeah.
which ended up being the name of the album. Like
Yeah.
he thinks everything so thoroughly. He announces things differently. Like I really appreciate how he's always thinking ahead of time. And we're sitting here thinking, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. He knows
Yeah.
exactly what he's
The
doing. And
Easter
he's like,
eggs.
yeah, it's very good. The Spotify video I told you, he like eats a cake that has the 13 on it. Like
Yeah.
he's been thinking about this for a while, and some of the things that he mentions in some of the songs, you can tell that he's been, that this has been in the works for a little bit now.
Yeah. And when I said before, like he's a strategic artist, it's not only the fashion, it's like you said, the Easter eggs. And there's other artists who are at like that's how you can tell the level he's at. Like if not to compare, but if you see what Taylor Swift does, right? She's very good at those Easter eggs. She plants things and album
Yeah,
covers and
the
pictures and
last
lyrics.
time, the last album, the way that he released it was like that he announced it was he
Yeah.
put an ad here on Clasificados, which is like the Craigslist of Puerto Rico, selling his car, like his Bugatti. And you see this
Yeah.
album like 3.5 million or better offer.
Yeah.
You know whose car that is. It's the only one who has that car here. And when you will call the number, it will text you, and then the number will have a preview of one of the songs. And I was
Oh,
like, it's genius.
email list.
Everything that he
Marketing
does is
genius.
so freaking genius, because everybody, it just took one person seeing the ad and going, even if you don't call the number, you're going, why is Bad Bunny's freaking Bugatti in Clasificados? Like, what is going on? Everything that he does is very thought thoroughly, but you can tell that they're his ideas and they come from him. He had a huge listening party. I wasn't able to attend because of the trip, but he had a huge listening party in the same place where Backlash was. He filmed it, and he went out there with the fans, and they kind of, it wasn't a concert. They just played the album. He was on stage. They all just listened to it, partied, and laughed. He addresses the moving out of Puerto Rico, but you can take Puerto Rico out of him. Like he talks about a lot of things that he's been criticized about in this album. But it really is a great album. I do suggest like listening. This one you really have to sit down and listen to it. And the visualizer is also great. It's him riding a horse. But if you pay attention to the background, there's different backgrounds. He's in Puerto Rico, they're here. Like it's really cool. It's really cool. I give him props. I know we talk about like Logan Paul, for example, being very good at marketing. I think in the music industry right now, Bad Bunny and Taylor Swift probably are killing it with their marketing strategies.
The Easter eggs make it like fun, like you enjoy it. It's entertainment, but you feel like you're a part of something. You're involved in it when you're like, for wrestling fans, like we got that with the late great Bray Wyatt. Like that's something that he used to do that really nobody else does in wrestling, So to have that in different industries, you're seeing it with Bad Bunny and Taylor Swift, like it's engaging, and that's what you want. You want your audience engaged, and Bad Bunny, I mean, he's at the top of that list.
He is.
Absolutely.
And there's just like, there's a reason why, I know that we always joke about how to listen to Taylor Swift, but I understand that fan base, and and I feel the same way on the Swiftie version of a Swiftie and Bad Bunny version. And the reason why is because they always make us feel involved in whatever they're doing. They're doing it for the fans. Like there's a way to like, I mean, we talk about how Doja Cat just crapped all over her fans. You don't do that. Your album's still gonna get plays and numbers, but when you make the fans feel involved and you create that huge audience and community feel, like you're entering a whole different ballgame, because you're creating, I don't mean to sound crazy, but you're creating this army of people that are gonna follow you anywhere and defend you. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and being wrestling fans, we've definitely seen people go after their fans. So. But staying on the topic of Taylor Swift, let's talk about this very slight, very small NSYNC Taylor Swift collab that we saw.
Oh my god, this made me laugh so hard.
It's not really a collab, guys, but Lance Bass was at a football game, SoFi Stadium. They had him on the Jumbotron. And what do you have? Like a sign that says that he's not Taylor Swift.
Not Taylor Swift. Like, don't be disappointed.
Yeah.
I am not Taylor Swift. I pop for that.
Honestly,
Props
that is
him.
great.
Yeah.
Good for him, because that's like a great way to like ride the wave of what's happening, but also like
know your role. Like, hey, I'm not as popular as this girl is right now.
Exactly.
Like, don't get too excited. But I thought it was funny. The crowd kind of popped for it too.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift though, for your conspiracy, I mean, they were finally synced together. He stayed with her in NYC. They went out on a date in NYC. So if it's a marketing stunt, at least they're starting to put in the work.
Yeah.
I'm like, can this guy like do this dating thing off season? Like, aren't football players off for like 7 months? Like, what are you doing right now? You need to be focusing on football, bro.
So this past week of Saturday Night Live was hosted by Pete Davidson, and the musical guest was Ice Spice. And typically, the host introduces the musical guest. There's two performances.
Mm-hmm.
This week, the first one, Travis Kelce introduced Ice Spice, and then the second performance, Taylor Swift introduced Ice Spice. So they were both at SNL together.
Well, they said the only way, I read the report because I was trying to find the Taylor Swift headline for the week, but I like the Lance Bass one.
For the week.
They said that the way they were able to get away with that was pretty much not telling anybody until they were on their way.
Yeah, crazy. Imagine having that much power. We're on the way. By the way, we're almost there. Like, oh, sure.
Oh, but there was a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks ago. I'm still really mad that I missed this tour because I wanted to go, but 50 Cent just had a tour. Yeah. And Bad Bunny and Kendall Jenner posted that they were at the concert, and 50 went off about how nobody in his PR team let him know that they were there. So, to kind of give it, I guess, a backstage tour or to meet them. I don't know. But the whole point is that 50 Cent was going off about how do I have such huge names at my concert and nobody manages to tell me that they're here.
Yeah, that's a heavy miss.
That is heavy. Somebody got fired.
Yeah. I think multiple people got fired.
Because, even if you think about it, it's not even about the VIP experience. Get the picture, post it, get the freaking likes and views. Like a picture of him and Bad Bunny will be great. It will go crazy.
Yeah, and I see Samantha and Ricky. They're both talking about the Taylor Swift movie in the chat. 93 million opening weekend. It's the number one movie right now. Crazy. Like she's already done documentaries on Netflix and Amazon. Now she's got a movie. Like,
I'll tell you one thing. I have been living by the TikToks and the videos of her fans. Again, not a fan, but them going to the movie theater and making this a concert experience. A lot of people didn't get to go. Prices were high. Tickets were impossible to get. So for you to say, hey, let's get together and go to this movie and act like we're at this concert, and you see these people dancing, getting up, like there's people that are not sitting down throughout, like they're not watching it like a movie experience.
Yeah, they're celebrating.
Which makes you wonder, is she changing the game? Are we going to start seeing more of this? Because I was upset because as far as I knew, Bad Bunny recorded the concert that he did here in Puerto Rico. He recorded a lot of those concerts that he did. I thought that's where he was going to go with it, to create a movie, because I would attend it over and over again. But it makes you wonder if people are seeing these numbers and going, let's record my next tour and put it out in a movie, because no wonder thousands of people attend, but also thousands of people get left out. And I don't care if you love an artist, even if watching it in the big screen with that sound system at the movie theater, it has to be a fun experience. I think it's awesome that the fans are just really making it a Taylor Swift experience at the movie theater. Like I just been living for the videos. I'm glad they're all having fun with it.
And I know, kind of to turn it back into wrestling, that's usually what we do. I know AEW does things like that, but I would love for WWE to imagine, for example, we're in the same area where we can't go, whatever, but we want to see WrestleMania. We can't be there for whatever reason. You get a group of your friends who are wrestling fans. You go to the theater and you watch WrestleMania on the screen, and you celebrate and you're in it as if you were there.
Correct.
That to me would be that.
And not even that. The way that I see it is a lot of times, if you ever notice, the wrestling community is like an online theme, because there's a lot of people that watch wrestling, but for some reason, all of us are in different areas. We don't have friends within that watch wrestling. And the way that I see it is, I have a friend that goes see the AEW shows here at the theater in Puerto Rico. Yeah. And it's like, even if you're alone, you're there with other fans and you get that experience. It's not the same sitting in your couch watching it either alone or with people that are not into it as going to a theater full of other people that love it. And theater snacks for wrestling, that hits. Yeah, especially for an AEW show that's 15 hours long. You can try the nachos, the popcorn. There's so many food breaks you can take.
I would just be confused as to you don't know the vibe. It's like going to an Adele concert. You don't know if people are gonna be standing or if you're gonna be sitting, as it's like the opera. You don't know what to expect. I would assume that people are standing and cheering and booing or whatever they would do it at a typical show or concert, but you don't know. There might be some people who are there to treat it as if they were in a regular movie. So you don't really know what to expect.
I wouldn't care if it's
I
about
wouldn't care.
Bunny. If it's about Bunny concert movie, I feel bad for the people that are in the same showing as me because I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna go crazy. I'm telling you right now. I hope he does it, especially that. But the problem is that PR concert that he did at the stadium was like 2 albums ago. But
Yeah.
if he releases that right now, I will go see it because that felt so special. It was his first big concert after the pandemic. He did it here, 55,000 people. Like it was really cool for him to just do that. I would love to see it, and I will make it as if I was there.
Well, speaking of movies, let me ask you if you would go back to the movie theater to see a new Winnie the Pooh movie. Would you?
Didn't you send me a picture that you were about to watch it and then you changed your mind?
Yeah. Before I
Um,
do, yeah.
the Winnie the Pooh copyright, like the name got released, so now anybody can make a Winnie the Pooh thing,
Yeah.
and somebody apparently did.
Yeah. Before we jump into that, though, if you haven't already, guys and gals in the chat, or if you're just watching, if you haven't already, please subscribe down below. You can stay up to date with all things from the Know Your News Network. If this is your favorite show on the network, you can throw a thumbs up and like this video, or just comment your favorite part or something you love about Issa, because obviously she's the most lovable person on the entire network.
I'm not.
But yes, please subscribe down below, and also you can see both of our social media handles there under Issa's beautiful face, under my whatever. But you have our social media handles there. You can follow us and join whatever we like to talk about in the wrestling world. But yeah, that's my little cheap plug.
Cheap plug. Thank you for the support, guys. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you haven't yet, get those super chats in, because we got one last week. Pretty cool moment. Ricky was awesome for doing that. And get those super chats in. We'd love to read your comments and your questions and your concerns and all of those things on the air. And if we have any questions to ask, you can get those comments in with some answers.
Let's go.
Let's do it. But the next topic I want to talk about, we kind of alluded to it, but Winnie the Pooh. There is a killer Winnie the Pooh movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on Peacock, and
it's terrible.
I sent it to. Did you watch it at all?
No, but I saw a couple of reviews.
I watched the trailer. When you get a chance, watch the trailer if you haven't yet.
I see the trailer.
Honestly, I might watch it just for the hell of it, because it looks like I might actually laugh. But Winnie the Pooh, what is it called? The 100-acre something like that. I don't know. It's some crazy.
It's called like Blood and Honey. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Blood and Honey. Yes. So the headline here is that a Miami school teacher showed their fourth grade class this film.
Yeah.
And now a mental health counselor is involved and has met with students who have expressed concern after watching this movie. Now, Issa, if you were a parent and your child came home and said they watched this movie in school, how would you react in fourth grade?
You see, the problem is that I was just watching Slaughterhouse, which is a terrible horror movie of a killer sloth.
Yeah.
And the baby was in the living room, but I do think she was too young to understand. But at one point, everybody in the screen was screaming. She was playing with her toys, right? So she's like not watching. But at one point, everybody in the screen starts screaming, and she turns around and goes, "Ah!" like mimicking what they were doing. We all just die laughing. But I don't know how I will feel. I probably wouldn't like it, but I have questions, because it was a Halloween movie. Like they were gonna play a Halloween movie. It's like, what else? It doesn't matter what they would have played. Who thought that playing a Halloween movie for fourth graders is a good idea to begin with? These are all slashers, like horror. Like there's no. Okay, but this movie is rated R. I guess you could have gone into a Halloween movie that's PG, which I don't think even exists. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would like it, but I also am not very like, oh my god, don't watch this, because I feel like kids nowadays get to whatever they want to watch no matter what.
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion by Disney. That's a good one, Samantha.
See, in fourth grade, I would assume that they're still. How old are you in fourth grade?
I don't know.
young. You're young. You're like 9,
7, 8. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, granted, fourth graders and 8-year-olds are a little different than when we grew up today, obviously. But I would still assume that this is a movie that they shouldn't be watching, or at least in school watching. If they're going to watch it at home because their parents are going to allow them, whatever, that's one thing.
The kids picked it.
I don't know. If I would probably, it is a gory film. I can tell you that from watching the trailer. It is gory, and the language or whatnot. It's rated R. We know what to expect with rated R.
It says the film played for 20 to 30 minutes before the teacher shut it off. So they watched the first like half hour, and then the teacher ended up shutting it off.
Oh, so they kind of tricked the teacher and were like, "Oh, we want to watch this Winnie the Pooh movie," and teacher didn't know any better.
The students were allowed to pick a movie to watch, and they selected Blood and Honey, but it's not for them to decide what they want, says one of the parents. Obviously, it's for the professor to look at the content. And then I guess that the kids started saying, "Hey, stop the movie. We don't want to watch it," and that's when the movie was actually stopped. But now they're gonna bring a health counselor, a mental health counselor for the kids. It was in Miami when this happens. I do think the parents are just gonna not let this one go.
Oh no!
And if they turn it into a bigger deal than what it is, because I'm not a parent, but if I was a parent, I'd be the kind of parent that would be like, okay, we'll talk about it once and then we let it go, and then they forget because kids forget, they're that young. But the fact that they keep like going on and on and on about it, we all know horror movies. Like, I guess I have to watch it. I don't know how much action this movie has in the first half hour, but you're setting up the plots. Like, unless a Saw movie that always, or Scream movies always start with a kill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But most horror movies, the first 20-30 minutes are not really all that like gory.
Yeah, I'm assuming here that the teacher it was one of those like, oh, pick what you want to watch and we'll turn it on, and they pick something and they're like, oh, we're gonna get one over the teacher. We're gonna watch this movie.
I don't think so. I think because they're kids, they picked this because they saw Winnie the Pooh.
Exactly. And the teacher didn't think that it was anything, like it was.
Yeah.
And then realized that after the fact. But it seemed just like an oops. It's not, it wasn't like.
I'm going to show horror movies. Maybe this teacher is just teaching the wrong group, the wrong age group of kids. But I'm going to show horror movies to the kids, and it just feels like there was a lack of judgment. Nothing that I would be like making that big of a deal about as a parent. Would I be upset? Yes, but the whole movie didn't play. Like, there's other things in factor here that I would think like, let's not do that again. But also, somebody needs to have a conversation with this teacher. It's not something that I don't think you will let the teacher get away with it. But at the same time, they'll keep harping it on the kids, where they will probably forget about it after a day or two. But I do think the teacher needs to be talked to.
And you also think too, like, these kids are so young that if the parent keeps going on and on and on about it, these kids it's gonna amp these kids up to rebel and kind of go watch it on their own or whatever. Like, someone talk to the teacher, explain to the kids why it was wrong to put that on, and move on. There's not much more to talk about, because if you keep pushing it, the kids are going to rebel. They're going to watch it regardless. Half of them probably went home and watched it.
One of my favorite movies of all time, it might be my favorite movie of all time, is The Exorcist. And the reason why I'm so obsessed with that movie is because my mom would not let me watch it. And I became like, what is so bad about this movie that I will have to sneak around her and try to figure out a way to watch it? And I'm obsessed with the movie. But I honestly think that if my mom would have not made the whole, you're not watching that movie when I first inquired about it, I might have never even cared. Maybe I would not even like horror films. I don't know, but that's how it was set up for me. So that's why I'm saying don't make a big deal about it, because the more that I would bring it up to my mom and the more upset that she would get, the more that I was like, oh my God, I need to get my hands into this movie. And this was back in the day, okay? I'm old. So that's what I mean. It's like when a kid wants to watch something, they're going to watch it around their parents' back. You know what I mean? Because if I was able to get away with it, trust me, kids today with their phones when their parents are not looking, are probably,
It's crazy because like it's on like the streaming network. So like when we were kids, like they would take the DVD or the VHS.
Bro, you had to go to Blockbuster with your parents. That was I'm sorry, Blockbuster was an experience. And I hate that today's generation don't get that. My favorite thing about going to Blockbuster was when they didn't have the movie you were looking for. So you just roam around the store waiting to see somebody will return it.
Yeah.
Every time somebody would drop a movie in the Dropbox, you would look at the employee like, is that it?
I used to love this.
And
going
not
on
even
the
Blockbuster,
movies.
like just renting movies in general. Because there
Yeah,
was other brands like Family Video. There was a couple other like video stores. Just
yeah,
the experience of renting a movie, the
and
fact
games.
that like I love today's technology, but I also think that it really shield people from having a lot of the experiences that we
Yeah,
did have. Like I was just talking about that the other day. Like it's crazy. I can't remember the last time I bought a DVD or a CD.
yeah.
I don't even
I buy
have anything
vinyl.
that plays a CD. Yeah, I want to get a. Oh my god! It just your thunder just started over here. I want to get a vinyl like for my new apartment. Like that's
Yeah,
one of the pieces that I want to get for my living room. So I'll probably will buy a couple of vinyl records, but
yeah,
it's more of a decoration thing. I want to get
yeah.
it for not because I need it, but it was just funny because I was gonna buy the Bad Bunny CD one time because I saw it. I was like, holy crap! But I'm like, I don't have anything that plays CDs right now. I would just have it just to have it, but
Yeah.
whatever.
No, it's a different time, obviously. Like 'cause we're all old timers now. Like, but
I
still,
know.
I mean, the gist of the story of the headline is that bad call by the teacher. Kids are gonna do what they want
And
regardless,
overreact by the parents.
and all the Karens need to chill out and just
He went there.
it's
Ooh.
spooky season.
It is spooky season. And the funny thing is that if you scroll through TV right now, it's all horror movies.
Yeah,
Edited, granted, but every network, AMC, all they play
yeah.
this one is horror movie. I love TV this
On
time of
Peacock,
year.
the
Yeah.
fun thing on Peacock is like the horror
But
collection
like
and
even
all
if
the
you
scary
keep them
movies.
from streaming services and they're just turning regular good old cable on every channel, it's showing scary movies right now.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of spooky season, not to go off topic here, uh, this weekend I went to Sleepy Hollow.
I saw your story that you posted that. How was it?
It was fantastic. Oh
I
my
can't
god!
stand you. Why you keep
The-
doing these things without me, Joy?
I'm sorry. I was preparing myself for when I come to Puerto Rico. We can go ghost hunting.
Oh, I know places.
'Cause I know that's your thing. But no, I went to a haunted cemetery. So I have a video. I'll send it to you. I went to a haunted cemetery where the uh, the the writer, that person who wrote Sleepy Hollow, Washington Irving, he's buried there. It's like a haunted cemetery. The headless horseman roams
Yeah,
there at night. Whatever. There was a family there walking through, like, because it's a scenic
right.
cemetery. It's weird, but it's a scenic cemetery. And there was this family there, and there were like three kids with them, little kids, like fourth graders. This little girl was holding a Chucky doll,
I love that.
and she was holding it, and it was like looking like she was holding it, walking this way, and the doll was looking back, and I'm walking forward, and this doll's looking me dead in the eyes. I'm like, damn
What am I
thing.
doing with my life right
I'm at a haunted cemetery in Sleepy Hollow, and there's a Chucky doll eyeing me down. I'm like, this
now?
is the essential Halloween experience.
Yeah,
I
I love
went home
that.
that night and watched Chucky.
Especially with a kid holding it too.
Yeah, it was something. But back to your scheduled programming. Our last topic for today, it's not really a specific topic, but it's a load of topics, I guess we can say. Britney Spears back in the headline. Her new book is coming out next week, October 24th, and all these headlines are coming out. The one that we had scheduled for today's show is her explaining why she shaved her head. It was before the conservatorship back in 2008 or so. That
Yeah.
was. She shaved her head to kind of rebel, um, is what she's saying. We kind of knew essentially that's what it was.
Yeah,
Um,
so she said in her own words, here's what she says. I've been eyeballed so much growing up. I've been looked up and down, have people telling me what they thought of my body since I was a teenager.
yeah,
Shaving my head and acting out were my ways of pushing back. So that's what she said, and it's true. Like we had this conversation in the past where people were just talking about like asking her if her breasts were real, like asking her if
yeah.
she was still a virgin, like when
Hold
she
on,
would change
call for
her
attention.
hair color or her haircut, people make a big deal about it.
Yep.
And yeah, I kind of don't blame Britney. Also, a lot of people don't understand the damage that some of these like artists and big time people do to their hair, because a lot
Yep.
of the girls are expected to have this big voluminous hair, so they do all these extensions, they do all this crazy thing. You had to be back in that day beach blonde babe to make it in the
Yep.
industry, so they're bleaching their hair on a weekly basis. Like it is insane. The people like I remember seeing, like, this was in a different story, but there's somebody that their extensions and stuff were hurting so bad that she shaved her own head because she know how to get them off. Nobody could get her
Yeah.
in. So, like, it's insane, like, the pressure that they had. I mean, I'm glad that she's confirming it. I don't know about you, Joey. I always saw it as an act of rebellion. I know people
Of
were like,
course.
she's having a breakdown. I'm like, no, she's just stepping out of what people
Yeah.
expect her to be.
She's trying to shed that skin of like what people thought about her, because that was when she was going through like that party era, and she was trying to transition
Yeah,
to
the
an
divorce.
adult.
Yeah, she had the babies already.
Yeah.
She had the divorce, and it was absolutely like an insane era. Like, I don't think people would understand today how. I guess maybe Taylor Swift gets that kind of attention right now, but like Britney
Yeah.
couldn't even step outside without having a swarm of paparazzis just coming at her because they had to capture every single thing that she did.
Let me ask you your opinion on this.
Hmm.
This is our 50th episode, and I think we've covered Britney at least 30 of them, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Uh, we know that there's a lot of issues with Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Clearly, mental health, whatever it is, all these headlines that are coming out now with this book. We see her doing these insane videos with the knives and all this stuff that we've covered before. Do you think there's a two-parter? One, is she angry at the world for it, the way it's treated her? And two, do you think that this book, we've seen already today, just headlines coming out that we're going to talk about on the show, do you think that this book is kind of a way to get back at those people who have wronged her, to expose them?
Maybe. Maybe. I do think that Britney deserves to tell her side of the story. I told you when we
Absolutely.
talked about the video being announced how there's always going to be two sides of the stories and we're not
Yep.
going to know anything. But she's been silenced from at least trying to tell her side of the story, whatever is accurate, whatever is not.
Yep.
We don't know. But I do think that she deserves to tell her side of the story. And I do think that writing a book is the best way to go about it because she's Britney Spears. There's ghostwriters that are going to put whatever she's saying into
Yep.
words, like they're gonna make it better on paper. Like, this is gonna be great because somebody's gonna make sure that that whatever message she wants out there is out there.
Yeah.
But if some of the things, and we'll get into the next headline here shortly, but some of the things that we're seeing come out in the book's not even out, just
Yeah.
really makes you wonder. Like, a lot of us, we said Britney's not okay. Britney is mentally, mentally ill or whatever. Well, with what she's been through, I'm surprised
Yeah.
she's still out here functioning.
Yeah. This part two to this headline, it's kind of it's an uncomfortable,
This was one shocking to me. Like, when you told me that, I was like, no way.
it's uncomfortable because it's like, first off, we don't even know if it's true or not. I would assume that it is for it to come out in the book. Um, Britney Spears says that she was pregnant with Justin Timberlake's baby before they decided to get an abortion. Now, we don't know when this was. The picture that's with the headline is clearly from the early 2000s when they were together.
Right.
We don't know any other information regarding that. You
In
may,
the
because you have the
book,
article.
yeah, in the book, Britney writes, I love Justin so much. I always expected us to have a family together one day. This will be much earlier than I anticipated, but she says Justin felt they weren't ready because they were too young. Both were around 19 at the time.
Wow.
According to the book, Britney says she was conflicted, but after some difficult emotional discussions, they both agreed that an abortion was the right choice. And Justin and Britney dated between 1999 and 2002.
Yeah.
And some people said it was so serious that Britney wanted to marry Justin. I always did see them as a very serious
I
couple.
saw them.
When they broke up, I remember the world was shook because they were like just the power couple back then. But in the book, she's claiming, allegedly, right? You said we don't know the real truth, that that she became pregnant and they weren't ready. And I mean, they were at the height of their career. So I wonder how many people in his ear, because it sounds like he was the one that was like, it's in the book, it says Justin felt they weren't ready.
Yeah.
I wonder also how many people in your ear you have telling you, oh, this is not the right thing. I personally think it would have affected her more than it affected him.
1,000%.
There is a side of me, though, that will tell you Britney went and had kids a few years later, and it didn't affect her fame. It didn't affect anything. Britney was a very young mom.
Yeah.
So maybe she was ready. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I don't know. I'm speculating here, guys. As a fan that lived through that era, a fan of both of them. I'm just speculating because Britney went on to have her babies like not long after that. Let me Google it because I think it was like 2 years after that.
Yeah, and if you look back at that time too, that was before. I think it was before Justin Timberlake went on his own and left NSYNC.
Yeah,
So
he was still with NSYNC when they
he
were
was
dating.
still in sync. So
But
he
NSYNC
didn't
was the
even,
biggest thing in the world too.
yeah, but his career didn't really even like explode yet.
2005 and 2006 is when she had her baby. So I guess that does make a big difference because now we're talking to
Yeah.
your 20s, like later 20s, 24, 22. Like that's a whole different thing than saying I had a kid at 19 at the height of my career.
Now, what's interesting about this is that Justin Timberlake has never, I don't think, ever mentioned it or commented on it. He
Not
kind of
about a baby, but he went
not
and
about a
put
baby.
their business out there about them having sex.
Yeah, not about the baby part. That's what I'm saying. Not about the pregnancy. They grew up together. They were on the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse together. Like they were like children together, and they grew up. So we don't even know. Like I remember when they had that relationship when they came out and they said they were together. It was like these two powerhouses coming
Yeah.
together, like these two mega stars coming together. I thought it was going to be the real thing, and they were going to be together forever. Hollywood, obviously is not real all the time, and things happen. But it's just a crazy time that now all these things are about to come out. This is just the beginning. You know what I mean? Like this book is not even out yet, and it's just starting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm searching Twitter right now just to see what people are saying. But if you remember the music video for Every Time, where just go back and watch the music video for Britney's Every Time, because after finding out this news, if this is real, it will make you see the video in a whole different way. And a lot of people say that song was about that relationship.
Let me ask you this question, because I try to be like the devil's advocate here, get both sides of it. So when this book comes out, obviously there's going to be a lot more that comes out with maybe Justin Timberlake or other people. Obviously, Britney deserves to get her truth out. That's the main thing here. The main goal that she deserves to have that truth out, whatever it is. Do you think that it's going to create a sense of rallying for her, or do you think it's going to build some sort of tension against her all of these years later?
I don't know. It's gonna depend on how. I don't know if she's gonna do any media, any press for it. I don't know what she's gonna do with her social media. But a lot of people rally behind Britney and the Free Britney movement, and then they see her free now, and you see all these stupid. I know there's silly comments on social media. They're like, maybe we should not free her, this or that.
Yeah.
And that worries me for how people are going to respond to this, depending on what all comes out. But both of these headlines are already like, not the revealing, that's why I shaved my head. I kind of figured that was the explanation behind it. Yeah. But now this one has big implications, and I can see people either wanting to take sides. People are going to brush it under the rug and maybe not give her the credit because they're going to say, like, well, Britney doesn't know what she's talking about. She's crazy, because you hear people say that all the time. So I really don't know, but I really do think the way that she behaves or the things that she puts out there, especially in her social media, that is being so monitored by the whole world right now, it's really going to tell you, the reaction. But I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think you're going to have people that have her back, that always have her back. And I think you're going to have people that are not going to believe anything she says in the book.
I just hope she's like prepared, like mentally, for what will happen now. Obviously, regardless if you think she deserves this or not, whatever, everybody has their own opinion. There's always repercussions for speaking up, and that's the unfortunate truth of these type of situations. There's always a repercussion for speaking up, because someone's always going to feel something against it. And I just hope that she's mentally equipped to handle the backlash, because you always get backlash. It is what it is. I just hope she's able to handle it.
Yeah.
After the book.
We'll
I think that's the biggest thing here, is that we know things are going to come out. We know things are going to be said. Is she able to handle the backlash for speaking up?
Right. I don't know.
Are we on the verge of another like 2008 breakdown, or Is this the start of where we see a comeback story for not for the public, but for Britney Spears' own personal, story? Is this her comeback to free herself of her truth that's been hidden for so many years?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people took Justin's side when this happened because of the
Yeah,
whole Crimea River, and he accused her of
we
being
shamed her.
unfaithful and all that. And I remember a lot of people taking his side, where I just don't feel that. I think that Justin Timberlake, and I love him. He was my
Yeah,
favorite in NSYNC. But I think Justin Timberlake has gotten away unscathed out of a lot of controversies that he's being a part of. The Britney breakup is a big one. The Janet Jackson thing, like people crapped all over her. Like he wasn't part of this performance that,
yeah.
oh my god, we saw a nipple on TV, like what a big deal. But you know what I mean, like I just remember him just, there's a lot of things that Justin Timberlake is. He's just like a golden Hollywood boy that can just gets away with
Yeah.
all of these things. So this is already makes you just wonder. Now I'm more curious about, is he gonna stay quiet? Is he gonna say something? Like, because now it's like, if you don't say anything, you're guilty. If you say something, you're crapping on the girl trying to tell her story. Where is the win-win for him too?
Well, now if you look where he's at in his life, he's married with children. I would say he's semi-retired in a sense. Like
Well,
he's
kind
kind
of,
of
but that's because he hasn't given us anything good in so long.
oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry, like his solo albums slap, but the last few ones have been a big miss.
I don't know. I haven't even the new NSYNC song. I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
Like
the 2020, what's it called? That
2020
album? Yeah,
experience.
that album was everything. But then after that, just
After that, I
like,
just dropped Man of the
just
Woods or whatever that is.
yeah. Men of the Woods has like 3 songs that I liked and downloaded to my playlist. The rest, you could play it right now and I wouldn't recognize it.
But if you look at Justin Timberlake, and there's a lot of artists who are like this, the newer generation is not. If you look at Bad Bunny, if you look at Taylor Swift, like all these artists we've been talking about previously, the newer generation is about presenting you art that is a start to finish album.
Correct.
Justin Timberlake comes from an era where there's 1, 2, maybe 3 singles, and
And
the
then the
rest
rest
are
are
just filler.
throwaways, where that's not the case.
Filler.
Like, yeah, I was just telling you, Bad Bunny always said, like, his last album, he said he wanted it to feel, and he felt that way. He's like, imagine you're at the beach partying, and the album is from the start of the party to the end, and you see how it gets, and then the mood,
Yep.
and then the vibe. Then it kind of like slow it down to like, I'm just enjoying my drunkenness, and I'm gonna pass out now. Like, it really felt like a party at the beach from the stages of getting there to
Yep.
I'm leaving, I'm Ubering home, right?
Yeah.
And I love that because I told you it's an unskippable album, and I'm finding the same experience here where I was like, I heard the first song and I was like, oh, I'm in for a ride. It's completely different of what he presented last time.
Yep.
That's another thing. This artist back in the day, it was a lot of the same. Like I am a big Britney fan, so I couldn't make that example, but you could put Britney's greatest hits on shuffle, and maybe some people wouldn't be able to tell you what album they're from because
Yeah.
they sound so alike. Where you take like a Taylor Swift or a Bad Bunny, and you know exactly, oh, that's this album, that's this album. That's because they're
Yep.
presenting you with something different every
It's a
single time.
story.
Correct. Beyonce, go back to Crazy in Love, her first single, to the kind of music that she's putting out now. She evolved with the time. And
Yeah.
that's why she's still
The
as
visual
successful
album
as
and
she
all that
is, because
stuff.
Beyonce comes from that generation.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of that group of people that are still doing it on Beyonce's level today. But
Yeah.
what did Beyonce have to do? Evolve. She couldn't stay putting out. They were cute, don't get me wrong. I like Beyonce's early things, but you can't put out one song with Jay-Z and that's a hit, and then the album is gonna sell. You can't get away with that anymore. You had to really evolve. You're absolutely, I love that you brought that up because I never really thought about that. Yeah, the 2020 experience in the albums before that, I could tell you right away, oh, that's Justin, that's this album, that's this
Yeah.
album. But then after that, he got mad lame. So sometimes I feel like it's the retirement force, or is it just because he wasn't really just, he didn't want to die down of a slow death, so he just decided to stop putting out content.
Well, you get to that point in your career and your life that the priorities are different, where your purpose now is not to create. It's more of my family life and planning out the future that's there. So I feel like there was a hard left turn for Justin,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of went the family route, the more
Right.
private life. And the creative got put on the back.
I liked him as an actor too. I'm
I
surprised
thought it was great.
movie.
There's a lot of
He's
movies
a
I've loved.
very good actor.
Yeah. What's the movie? One of my favorite movies that he did was the one with Mila Kunis, who doesn't shower.
Yeah. I like the one. I think it was called Alpha Dog, just because
Alpha
it's
Dog.
based
That movie
of a.
gets me
And
every time.
it's based off a true story.
Yeah.
Like it's a crazy story how this kid ended up being killed over a mistake. Like not a mistake, they just didn't know what to do after they kidnapped him. Instead of just they could have listen. We could get into that, but they could have just let that kid go. He would have not snitched on anybody. I'm telling you right now. But anyways, yeah, I love that movie, and
Thank you, Samantha.
yeah, Friends with Benefit. I love that movie, and I've fallen down the rabbit hole of the actual crime. Like the main guy ended up like getting away with it because he moved to like Brazil. I think he was living in Brazil for like years. Go down the rabbit hole of the actual crime that the movie's based off. It gets crazy interesting. They didn't get away with it. They ended up, bringing him back to the U.S. and putting him to trial. But anyways, I always thought he was a good actor, so I thought for a period of time he was gonna stop putting out music and just start making movies because. For male actors, again, it's a double standard. But the older that a guy gets, the more roles they get, the more attractive they get. So I always thought that at this point in JT's career, we would just be seeing a lot of him in Hollywood, and that wasn't the case.
He's actually got a new movie out now on Netflix. That's recent.
Oh, really? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't watched it.
I see. The thing of it is, like, now we have so many straight-to-streaming content that's still good, but it doesn't make the theaters that a lot of times you don't hear about these things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember whose artist was that I saw the other day on Netflix, and I was like, holy crap, what is this? And it was a Netflix exclusive movie. Like, somebody was talking about, should Netflix start releasing some of their movies that are better with bigger names onto a theater too, and then bringing it straight to Netflix just because they're spending so much money on content. But yeah, I had to check it out. I didn't know he has something on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, speaking of movies, has there been anything this week you got to watch or?
No, I've been watching. Obviously,
away.
Survivor has been extremely good. The challenge has been very good. I'm still on my reality TV. Obviously, I was traveling, so I didn't even watch SmackDown. So I need to catch up. But yeah, I'm waiting for Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't think that I'll watch that one at the theater, but I'm definitely gonna check it out. But no, nothing really. I feel like everybody got scared, and they should have looked at the numbers that it did. But I feel like the movie industry was like, just let Taylor Swift release on her own because we don't want to compete with that.
I heard there was a movie set to be released on the same day as
The Exorcist. The Exorcist. They moved it a week early. It's so bad. The Exorcist is so bad. Don't pay your money to go see it in the theaters. Yeah. It's not that it's bad. It's just very flat for trying to take on being the follower of such a monster. I saw the trailer and I personally thought it's gonna be more of the same. They haven't made a good Exorcist movie since the original. Outside of The Exorcism of Emily Rose was good just because it was a true case and it made news and headlines. But it's always the same thing: an old priest, a young girl, the devil is possessing them. Let's get the devil out of them. This time it's just two girls. You know what I mean? Like, what else can I tell you about it? But I did watch it. But yeah, I haven't watched anything new. What about you, Joey?
The new season of the Chucky series is back, the third season.
If you texting me all the time.
I love that show. It is great. It stays true to what we know as Chucky. Like this evil rated R. He's not the rated R superstar, but but he's close to what we would know of Chucky from the original movies. Yeah. Just an updated version. So it's very, very, it's entertaining. It's funny. It's Chucky.
Well, the person that created Chucky, the only Chucky thing that he hasn't been involved in is the other Child's Play remake that they made.
About.
He's always being involved with Chucky things, and that's why I think it always keeps the Chucky feels and vibes to him. And I always appreciated that he doesn't let them get away. And there was a period of time where they did, like it was starting to get weird, and he pulled away from that, and that's when they went into the TV series, which I'm glad that it got picked up because it's great. I haven't watched this season. I haven't watched a single episode, so on Thursday will probably be the day that I sit down and just like binge watch a few to get caught up.
Yeah,
but I do like the Chucky series. It's very good.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of it for today, right?
Wow, look at us. Under an hour for once.
Under an hour. And we got everything in. Look at that.
We got everything in. I'm very curious. Like, the takeaway from today, and maybe we'll discuss it next Tuesday, is I don't know if Justin Timberlake's now forced to make a public statement about this or not, but
it's going to affect a lot of things in his life.
Very curious about how it's going to go.
Yeah, I'm sure Jess,
Samantha, I got your Kardashian news. On one of Bad Bunny's new songs, he talks about doing dirty things with Kendall Jenner as his sister's house, and I couldn't help but to start trying to figure out which sister it was. There's your Kardashian
probably
news.
Courtney.
Me and my family, because we're listening to it together, we're like, whose house do you think it was? Courtney, Kim's, Kylie?
It's definitely Courtney. Courtney and Travis seem like they have like a sex dungeon or something.
No, she's always on tour with him, so the house is probably empty. So Kendall probably had a key and was like, let's get in there.
Yeah. Right,
I'm gonna say Kim, because Kim is not getting any right now, so I probably did it just to like piss her off.
Yeah, she's in her grandma stage. I feel like Kim is like,
if she's getting some, for once, she's actually being very secretive about it, which I appreciate it, because her relationships are so public that I think is half of the reason why they never work.
The new season is out on Hulu, and but it's the Kardashians. Not much to keep up with.
Of course.
But I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, episode 50. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe down below. All Know Your News Network stuff will be available on this channel. All the different podcasts and shows. Clearly, this one is your favorite because you're here watching.
Duh.
And then if that is the case, hit that thumbs up. And again, you can follow us on our individual social media. Tonight, I'm assuming, will you be live on your channel, Lisa?
Oh, yeah. NXT is going to slap tonight.
Yes.
I'm excited. That triple threat for the number one contender is going to be fun.
Yes. NXT always slaps. It slaps the wrestling out of
NXT
all the
is
other
good.
shows.
NXT is good. I listen, I love wrestling. So you guys know, unless I have something going on, you always have a wrestling buddy to watch wrestling with over on my YouTube channel, NYC Demon Diva. So go subscribe.
Yes, and I'll be in the chat as well, as always, but supporting my friend and the awesome people in her chat. But yes, thank you, Issa, for a great 50th episode. Thank you, chat, for always being the most engaging part of the day. And appreciate you guys. And for now, we'll see you next week.
Bye.